Hundreds of thousands of demonstrators filled streets and plazas throughout Chile to mark the day 1 year ago when the country's social pressure cooker burst. There were dramatic performances alluding to human rights violations committed by police. But there was also music and celebration. Entire families had come to show that their resolve to fight for social equality remains strong. But the peaceful demonstration that so many had called for was not to be. Just 300 meters from the main gathering in Santiago, hooded vandals set fire to 2 churches. The first, known as the parish of Chile's police force. Then they torched another, regarded as a national heritage monument. By the time firefighters arrived, it was too late.
The government wants to show an iron fist that it's there, it's reacting not only by making speeches, but also by taking action. So the announcement by the Interior Minister, who's in charge of the police this morning on the radio, that dozens of people have been arrested is a way of showing the French that things are being done. What's interesting is that those arrests are not necessarily linked to the assassination. They're essentially of people suspected of expressing support for the attack or the attacker or against the teacher online. And so this is why the net can be very wide, and the arrests are going to continue throughout the next few days.
It's time for me to become your president, a final gathering for opposition candidate Cellou Dalein Diallo. After he called on the military to come out and vote President Alpha Condé out of power, soldiers attacked the military camp in Kindia, where the rally was held, killing the camp commander, a close ally to the president. In an interview with Al Jazeera in September, Diallo warned about growing discontent in the ranks of the military.
The risk of a coup is real. We would rather see them stay put in their barracks, but so far they've always been on the side of the dictator Alpha Condé. I hope that our soldiers will change their position and stand by the Guinean people.
Condé's government shut the country's borders and is restricting internet access over security concerns. The presidential guards have been deployed in the capital, who are setting up checkpoints.
Chief Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat, one of the most visible Palestinian leaders for decades, is now on a ventilator and placed into a medically induced coma over his COVID infection. His hospital says his condition is, quote, defined as critical. Erekat was rushed to Jerusalem's Hadassah Medical Center on Sunday from his home in the occupied West Bank. He contracted the coronavirus on October 8. The 65-year-old is considered especially vulnerable to the illness because he underwent a lung transplant in the United States in 2017, which suppressed his immune system. Hadassah spokeswoman Haydar al-Boam also said Erekat was being treated for a bacterial infection. Erekat is a senior advisor to Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas.
A Chinese soldier has been arrested by Indian security forces amid heightened tensions between India and China along the line of actual control border. Now, the arrest was made near Demchok area by Indian Army. Indian agencies are probing whether there was any espionage involved. The Chinese soldier has been identified as Corporal Wong Yelong, and as per protocol, after following due procedure, the Chinese soldier will be released soon.
A convoy of indigenous rights activists traveled to the capital Bogota determined to meet President Ivan Duque. They want to end the violence that's destroying their communities and complain there's been no peace since Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia rebels disarmed, leaving other armed groups and criminal gangs to fill the power vacuum. They also say they're suffering injustice because they haven't been consulted about major development projects on their land. The rights watchdog Indepes says 1,000 community leaders have been killed in the past 4 years, with 65 mass killings this year alone. The killings have affected indigenous communities worse than others, and some want more autonomy in their homelands to protect themselves.
Japan hangs Chinese man in first execution of foreigner for more than a decade. The 40-year-old had been convicted of killing a family of 4 in 2013. Japan hung its first foreign prisoner in years, a 40-year-old Chinese man convicted of murdering a family of 4 on Thursday. It is the country's first execution of a foreigner since disclosure of details on sentences carried out began in 2017, the Justice Ministry said. The man, Wei Wei, committed the murders in mid-2013 alongside 2 accomplices who were also Chinese nationals, media reported. The other 2 fled to China, where they were arrested, with one executed in China and the other handed a life sentence. Japan is one of just 2 group of 7 advanced nations to retain the death penalty, along with the United States, and an overwhelming majority of the public favors it.
To this tragic story now, and investigations continue into the boating accident that killed 5 people and injured 2 others over the weekend. The 2 incidents happened at the Vaal River and the Vaal Dam.
Yes, indeed, Tula. So we must just highlight the fact that it was 2 separate accidents that occurred. The first one was where a jet ski collided with a boat, and we understand that 2 of those people were airlifted and they are in critical condition. But later on Saturday afternoon, we understand that there was a group of people, about 7 people on a boat. We spoke to one of the eyewitnesses who was actually fishing at the time. He says he was watching the people on the boat. They were happy, they were singing, it seems as though, he says, they were celebrating. And he says a jet ski came past and it almost lifted the waves. And he says from what he saw, it seemed as though a lot of water went into the boat. And one of the people on the boat actually got a fright and stood up. And that's when everybody else stood up and suddenly the boat capsized.
Finland's Prime Minister Sanna Marin has hit headlines for posing in a low-cut blazer for a magazine. Wearing a plunging neck blazer with no shirt underneath, Sanna Marin posed for Trendy magazine's October issue. There was an enormous backlash against the photo shoot in Finland. The glamorous photograph could have been seen as a step to break the mold politicians are expected to fit in, but it rather hurt the fragile sentiments of online trolls. The picture didn't really go well with the self-proclaimed moral police. The trolls, largely men of course, berated the photo, calling it a wrong step, while women opined the photo was fabulous. Now, the photo was criticized on social media, with many associating Sanna Marin's credibility with her clothes. Now, Marin's clothing irked conservatives, but it also gained support due to her massive popularity on social and international media. The backlash was soon turned into solidarity by Marin supporters, who shared pictures of themselves in similar outfits online.
North Korean patrol boat fires on Chinese fishing boats, killing 5. A North Korean patrol boat recently fired live rounds at a Chinese boat illegally fishing in North Korean waters, leading to multiple deaths, Daily NK has learned. On October 11th, a North Korean patrol boat opened fire on a Chinese boat that was fishing illegally in North Korean waters. A Chinese-based source told Daily NK on Friday 5 Chinese fishermen were killed in the incident. Chinese vessels usually work in groups, and on this occasion there were around 10 boats fishing together when one was followed by the North Korean patrol and fired upon. 5 of the Chinese fishermen on board were reportedly killed on the spot. Up until last year, North Korean patrol boats had never gone beyond making threats so they could receive bribes, the source said. In the past, they would fire warning shots which, of course, could hit the other boats. This time, however, they fired directly at the fishermen and killed them.